Welcome to The Print. Earlier this morning, we reported that the UPSC has sent a proposal to the government saying that if basically the UPSC proposed that if somebody applies for the civil service examination and does not appear for it, please consider that as an attempt. The question we are asking in today's live is that, is it an idea whose time has come, or is it something that will act as a deterrent for the lakhs and lakhs of aspirants who apply for this very coveted exam every year? To be sure, there is no reason to panic. This is only a proposal by the UPSC. The government has not responded to it yet. So, so there is no reason to worry as of now. But is this an idea whose time has come? Let's just go a little bit into why the UPSC has come up with this proposal. They say that every year about 10 lakh candidates apply for the exam. When the prelims start, which is the first stage of this examination, only 5 lakh candidates actually appear for the exam. Now, for the UPSC, they obviously have to work on the assumption that everyone who has applied for the exam will show up for the exam. What this means is that there is a huge strain on their resources. They have to have those many question papers, which is basically 1 million question papers, have those many centers. So they say that we prepare so hard and we prepare so much, and half of our preparations go waste year after year. Hence, it may be important to ensure that people don't unthinkingly apply for this exam. When we spoke to sources in the government, they said that even if hypothetically this happens, although the government has not said anything about it, even if this happens, it will only be the non-serious candidates who will actually be affected by it. Because if someone is really applying for the exam and not showing up for it, unless of course it's an emergency, then that kind of means that they were not serious in the first place. So the serious applicants definitely don't need to worry, and they will not be impacted by this proposal, even if it sees the light of the day. Please don't forget to send in your questions through this live. I have a few already. I have a question from Akshay Rawat. Do people waste their time with endless attempts for the UPSC? Well, one can't say if people are wasting their time, but remember, the number of attempts for the UPSC exam has gone up significantly. Now, a general category candidate has as many as 6 attempts. Someone from the OBC category has 9 attempts, and for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, there is no limit on the number of times they can take the exam. So, people do end up investing a lot of years for this exam. So well, it is a reasonable argument that you're spending so much time, so many years in which you could have looked for other alternatives and so on. So, and if you're not getting in for the first time, second time, third time, are you likely to at all make it in this examination at all? So there is an argument that people invest too much academically, emotionally. Remember, it is a very, very coveted exam. It's also a very emotive issue in India. The civil services are a very emotive issue, because this is an examination to select top bureaucrats in the country, and it comes with a certain kind of social prestige that people regard very, very highly. So it's not for us to say whether people are wasting their time giving attempt after attempt, but the UPSC proposal, to be sure, is not talking about any of that. It is just talking about, it is just regarding the logistical concerns of the commission to be preparing for 10 lakh candidates every year, out of which only half of them appear. We have another question from Manas Singh. Should UPSC reduce the number of attempts it gives to the candidates? Well, Manas, don't forget that very, very recently the Niti Aayog said, talked about lowering the age limit of the candidates. Right now, for general category student candidates, the age limit is 32, and as I mentioned, the number of attempts they can take is 6. But let's not forget that this is a politically very, very sensitive issue. Due to political expediency, parties, governments generally are very, very wary from either reducing the number of attempts that people can take before clearing this exam, or reducing the age, the upper age limit for this exam. So although several commissions, several times this has come up in the past, that okay, reduce the age limit of candidates appearing for this exam from 32 to 27 or 26, but these proposals have never seen the light of the day, only because this is a very, very politically sensitive issue. We have another question. Are there genuine reasons? What if there are genuine reasons for not turning up? Is there any provision? Well, as I said, this is only a proposal that the UPSC has sent. I don't know if it is very well fleshed out yet. They have probably just flagged this as an idea to the government. So what they do for genuine cases remains to be seen. But just going by the sheer numbers, if 10 lakh people are applying for an exam year after year and only half of them are appearing for the exam year after year, then we can safely say that not all 5 lakh of them are not appearing for the exam because they fell sick or because of any other emergency. So it does appear that the UPSC's concern is genuine. What it does to sort of accommodate emergencies and among other things remains to be seen, and that too if at all the government really yields to this proposal. How much cost does UPSC incur to conduct this exam every year? Well, we don't know the real cost. This is a question that is asked by Taslima Khan. Taslima, we don't know what the actual cost is, but we can safely say that it's a cost that runs into several crores. And it's not just about the cost, it's about the manpower. It's about ensuring that thousands and thousands of centers are ready to hold this exam at the same time. It is important to ensure that there are those many papers. There are 10 lakh papers there for all the candidates. So it requires a lot of manpower. It requires cost which runs into several crores. So there is the concern of the strain on the UPSC does appear to be genuine. And also it appears to be a workable idea. Remember, because as I mentioned that the number of attempts that are that people are entitled to have gone up in the past. Only in 2014, during the tenure of UPA 2, the age limit was increased for general candidates from 30 to 32. Now, so if we see if the age limit has gone up and if the number of attempts that are given have gone up, then to say that if you're applying for the exam, it will be counted as an attempt, it doesn't seem like a it's not an idea that is not feasible or tenable, because the government is increasing the attempts, the government is increasing the age limit. So it might be fair for the government to say, don't apply unthinkingly for this exam, because it does take a toll on our resources. We have another question from Reham Ashwak. Has UPSC taken any other measures to address this problem? Reham, yes, just in October, we had the UPSC announce for the first time that they gave the option to candidates to withdraw their candidature from the exam after applying. But this was done the UPSC said you can do it only within a week. Now, this is because between when people apply and when the exam happens, the UPSC has only 3 to 4 months to prepare. So this has to be done at a very, very rapid pace. But they have said that, think about it for 1 week, even after you've applied for this exam. Think about whether you want to take the exam or not. We give you a week, so if you want, you can withdraw your candidature. But when we spoke to people in the government, they said that, well, it is giving the option of withdrawal is okay, but if there is no disincentive for candidates to actually not apply unthinkingly, they will not even withdraw. I mean, there has to be a cost for applying unthinkingly for the exam, and only then will it be a deterrent for candidates really to not apply for the exam without really thinking about it. Are these issues, there's another question, are these issues also driven by political expedience? Of course, these issues are, as I mentioned, very, very politically sensitive. Even right now as we speak, students, candidates are protesting against the government, saying, because remember a few years ago, a new provision called the CSAT was introduced in the civil services exam, and that analysis test, basically people believe was designed in a way to sort of benefit those with an engineering background or those with English speaking skills. So a lot of people felt that they faced a disadvantage because of that provision, and even now they are protesting. They're saying, give us compensatory attempts. It is an issue that has been taken up by political leaders across parties. So it obviously becomes a very, very sensitive issue for political parties. So every time something like this happens, the governments are usually very cautious and are very wary of bringing any drastic reforms. I will be taking some other questions. I have a question from Bharat Singh, who asks, isn't this a needless debate? The number of attempts that each candidate is allowed have gone up, as has the maximum age. So how will this help? Bharat, yes, of course, we have mentioned that before, that the attempts and the age limit has gone up. But had that not happened, then this would have seemed like a very, very unfair proposal, because people would have said, look, you're giving us only a limited number of attempts. You're not increasing the attempts. You are not increasing the age limit, the upper age limit. And here you are taking one more attempt away from us just because we've applied for the exam. So because the government has been soft on the issue of the number of attempts and the age limit, in that light, this idea seems a bit fair, and the government, the UPSC is just saying, look, we are ready to allow you to take these many attempts, but just don't do it unthinkingly. We have another question from Sonika Datta. When will the government accept this UPSC suggestion? Well, Sonika, I have absolutely no idea. The government is very, very likely to not take up this proposal at all, sit on it, not consider it at all. The UPSC, remember, has been very concerned about this issue. It, in fact, according to some sources, the UPSC is even considering making it mandatory for candidates to show their identity proofs, like an Aadhaar card or a voter ID card or any kind of government identity proof when you apply for the exam. This, they are saying, will ensure that there are no fake applicants. So the UPSC is very, very worried about this issue of this large-scale absenteeism from the civil services exam. But will the government be able to do anything about it remains to be seen. So when they will take up this proposal, or whether or not they will take up this proposal, we really don't have an answer for that. There's another question from Shivraj Singh. The minister recently ruled out reduction in age criteria of eligibility to appear in civil services exam. Why isn't government doing that first? So Shivraj, we have answered that question. Yes, you are right that the DOPT minister, Mr. Jitendra Singh, recently did say that the government is not looking at reducing the age limit for candidates for the UPSC exam. This came after the Niti Aayog recommended that reduce the age limit from 32 to 27, and then we had the minister clarify that, look, the government is not doing anything like that, so don't be worried. This, as I mentioned, is happening because it is, again, a very, very politically sensitive issue. No government can afford to really antagonize the large number of aspirants who apply for this exam every year. This also, the issue of reservation, the issue of caste ropes into this entire debate, creeps into this entire debate. So the government, it's only expected that the government will not act on any of these reforms just yet, and especially not in an election year. We have another question from Amit Kumar. What purpose will it serve? Amit, we have spoken about this in the last few minutes. The UPSC, remember, has come up with this proposal saying that about 10 lakh applicants, candidates apply for this exam, only half of them show up. This is a big strain on our resources. We have to prepare ourselves for all those 10 lakh candidates, and it's only fair that if people are applying for the exam unthinkingly, they have some kind of cost to pay for it. Another question from Biswajit Pradhan. Why can't the number of vacancy increase as a move to encourage students? Well, Biswajit, there is massive vacancy in the bureaucracy even as we speak. So I don't think increasing the numbers, the number of seats will really address the problem, because we've run at ThePrint run several stories talking about the vacancy in the central government, in the state governments, as far as IS officers and officers from other services are concerned. So there is actually massive vacancy within the government right now. So I don't think increasing the numbers and can actually address the problem. Remember, only about 1,000 people from the 10 lakh who initially apply make it to the exam. So increasing the number of seats will not address any issue, because that's really not the problem. There are more seats than in the government already, and a lot of which are vacant already. So that is not the problem. So there's no point addressing it. Please do keep sending in questions. This is a debate we'd like to continue to have in the Print newsroom. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sanya Dhingra.